Vandeham Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangsha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurtushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarurvyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We hope all of you are doing very well in your spiritual life, having a blissful Kartik. So we are studying chapter 9 of Bhagavad-gita, the most confidential knowledge, Raj Guhya Raj Vidya Yoga. And in this chapter, so far Krishna has explained about his yogic powers by which he manages the affairs of the whole universe. And interestingly enough, still remains very disconnected from it. So we went through those shlokas, and then we also discussed about different kinds of people who worship Krishna in different attitudes. That's where we stopped last time, shloka 9.15. We'll do our for Gita. Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Fullaravindayatapatra netre Ye nutaya bharata taila purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parichataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gita Amrita Duhe Namaha. So this was the table that we were discussing when we stopped last session. 5 types of worshippers. I hope you went through the slides later on after the discussion was complete. So it talks about Mahatma, Sukritinaha, and then 3 types of Gyanis. Those who worship the universal form, those who worship the various demigods, and those who worship the impersonal Brahmajyoti. Vishvato Mukham Prithaktvena Ekatvena. The table also gives us information about where will Krishna discuss about these different kinds of worshippers more in detail. Like for Mahatmas, it's already done in 9.13 and 14. And then for mixed devotion, we discussed that in chapter 7, 4 types of people who approach Krishna. Arto, Artharthi, Jnani, Cha, Bharatarshaba, Jigyasu also, 4. And now we'll start discussing about the first kind of Jnani, those who worship the universal form. We should know one thing here, that this person does know that the universe has got something to do with God. Not that this person is just a nature worshipper or a nature lover. This person understands very well that this universe is a part of God, or is actually a form of God. And with that attitude or that mindset, this person performs the worship. In Western theology. This is known as pantheism. So in coming few verses, 16, 17, 18, 19, Krishna will talk about this category in detail. For us, when we read these verses, it may be a bit difficult to identify with them or relate with them, because I doubt any one of us have been the worshipper of the universe, understanding that the universe is a form of God. Rare are such kind of people at present times who have this kind of understanding. Actually, at present times, no religious worshipper really knows what he or she is doing. They just do what is the social norm, what is going on in the society. They just copy that and follow that, but they don't really know where do they belong. So this is for, we can say, only a little understanding of Gita. And of course, Prabhupada adds a Krishna conscious, touch to everything. So he'll do that to these shlokas also. But we will just quickly go through these shlokas and then go to the next section. So worship of universal form. This is a table, right? And worship of universal form. So in these verses, Krishna is going to explain 16, 17, 18, 19, how to see him within the objects of this world, right? So let's look at the verses. Text 16. We'll chant the Sanskrit first all together. Aham kratur aham yagyaha swadhaham aham aushadham mantroham aham evajyam aham agnir aham hutam pitahamasya jagato mata dhata pitamaha vedyam pavitram omkara riksama yajurevacha gatir bharta prabhu sakshi nivasah sharanam suhrit prabhavah pralayasthanam nidhanam bijam avyayam tapam yaham aham varsham nigrihanami utsrijami cha amritam chaiva mrityuscha sad asachaham arjuna. So here you can note that Krishna is telling that there are many things he mentions here, and then he's saying, I am that. And that's why the word aham has come many a times. Aham kratur, I am a particular kind of yajna known as kratu. Then aham yajna, I am sacrifice. Aham mantra, I am the mantra, like that. So translation, but it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. I hope you're not getting confused why Krishna is telling is the butter, the fire. Basically, Krishna here refers to his all-pervading form. And because everything has come from Krishna, everything is Krishna's energy, those who worship the universal form, they tend to see Krishna in everything. Like you have heard people say, God is everywhere, God is in everything. I see God everywhere. So this is one way of seeing God everywhere, that everything has come from God, so he is in everything. Let's read the purport, and then while reading these purports, it will become more understandable to us why Krishna is saying so. Yes, Arti Mataji, you can read this purport.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
The Vedic sacrifice known as Jyotistoma is also Krishna, and he is also the Mahayagna mentioned in the Smriti. The oblations offered to the Pitraloka or the sacrifice performed to please the Pitraloka, considered as a kind of drug in the form of clarified butter, is also Krishna. The mantras chanted in this connection are also Krishna. And many other commodities made with milk products for offering in the sacrifices are also Krishna. The fire is also Krishna because fire is one of the 5 material elements five material elements and is therefore claimed as a separated energy of Krishna. In other words, the Vedic sacrifices recommended in the Karma Kanda division of the Vedas are in total also Krishna. Or in other words, those who are engaged in rendering devotional service unto Krishna are to be understood to have performed all the sacrifices recommended in the Vedas.
Thank you. Let's go to the next one. Pitahamasya jagato mata dhata pitamahaha vedyam pavitram omkara riksam yajurevacha. I am the father of this universe, Pitahamasya Jagataha. The mother, not just the father, is also the mother, the support and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rik, the Sam, and the Yajurvedas. So basically, all these things are needed in the performance of sacrifices, Yajnaha. So Krishna is telling those who engage in performing sacrifices how to identify every single thing involved in sacrifice as actually an energy of the Supreme Lord. In this way, the vision of that person becomes very divine because that person begins to see everything sacred. So that leads to remembrance of God. Next paragraph, sorry, next purport. David Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace. The entire comic manifestation, moving and non-moving, are manifested by different activities of Krishna's energy. In the material existence, we create different relationships with different living entities who are nothing but Krishna marginal energy. Under the creation of Prakriti, some of them appear as our father, mother, grandfather, creator, etc. But actually they are part and parcel of Krishna. As such, these living entities who appear to be our father, mother, etc. are nothing but Krishna. In this verse, the word Datta means creator. Not only are our father and mother part and parcel of Krishna, but the creator, grandmother, and grandfather, etc. are also Krishna. Actually, any living entity being part and parcel of Krishna is Krishna. All the Vedas, therefore, aim only towards Krishna. Whatever we want to know through the Vedas, can you go up, please?
Yes, yes, yes.
Through the Vedas is but a progressive step toward understanding Krishna. That subject matter which helps us verify our constitutional position is especially Krishna. Similarly, the living entity who is inquisitive to understand all Vedic principles is also part and parcel of Krishna, and as such is also Krishna. In all Vedic mantras, the word Om, called Pranava, is transcendental sound vibration, and it's also Krishna. And because in all the hymns of the four Vedas, Sama, Yaju, Rig, and Atava, the Pravana or Om, Kara is very prominent. Prominent is there. It is understanding to be Krishna.
Thank you. It is understood to be Krishna, yes.
Yes, it's understood to be Krishna. Sorry.
So everything is related to Krishna in that sense. Next verse. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivash Saha Sharanam Suhrit Prabhavaha Pralaya Sthanam Nidhanam Bijamavyayam. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. You know, these verses which come in Bhagavad-gita, they are just like seed of the knowledge which is found in other scriptures. This topic of universal form of Krishna is given in much, much greater length in Srimad Bhagavatam. When we study Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2 and Canto 3, this topic comes in such long chapters with such deep explanations. So here, when we read these shlokas, it may sound like just code words, but then these code words are expanded in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Brahma talks to Narada about the creation. Shukdev Goswami talks to Parikshit Maharaj about the creation. So there it is explained how Krishna is the goal, how Krishna is the abode, how is the refuge, right? How is the eternal seed? That is explained there. Okay, purport. Kavya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Perfect. Gati means the destination where we want to go, but the ultimate goal is Krishna, although people do not know it. One who doesn't know Krishna is misled, and his so-called progressive march is either partial or hallucinatory. There are many who make as their destination different demigods, and by rigid performance of the strict respective methods, can you scroll up? By rigid performance of the strict respective methods, they reach different planets known as Chandraloka, Suryaloka, Indraloka, Maharloka, etc. But all such lokas or planets being creations of Krishna or simultaneously Krishna and not Krishna. Such planets being manifestations of Krishna's energy are also Krishna. But actually they serve only as a step forward for realization of Krishna. To approach the different energies of Krishna is to approach Krishna indirectly. One should directly approach Krishna, for that will save time and energy. For example, if there is a possibility of going to the top of a building by the help of an elevator, why should one go by the staircase step by step? Everything is resting on Krishna's energy. Therefore, without Krishna's shelter, nothing can exist. Krishna is the supreme ruler, and because everything belongs to him and everything exists on his energy. Krishna being situated in everyone's heart is the supreme witness. Scroll. The residences, countries or planets on which we live are also Krishna. Krishna is the ultimate goal of shelter, and therefore one should take shelter of Krishna either for protection or for annihilation of his distress. And whenever we have to take protection, we should know that our protection must be a living force. Krishna is the supreme living entity, and since Krishna is the source of our generation or the supreme father, no one can be a better friend than Krishna, nor can anyone be a better well-wisher. Krishna is the original source of creation and the ultimate rest after annihilation. Krishna is therefore the eternal cause of all causes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Tapamyaham aham varsham nigrinami utsrijami cha amritam chaiva mrityuscha sat asatchaham Arjuna. O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Yes, someone else wanted to read? Dhananjay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Krishna, by his different energies, diffuses heat and light through the agency of electricity and the sun. During the summer season, it is the Krishna who checks rain from falling from the sky, and then during the rainy season, he gives unceasing torrents of rain. The energy we sustain by prolonging of duration of our life is Krishna, and Krishna meets us at the end as that. By analyzing all these different energies of Krishna, one can ascertain that for Krishna there is no distinction between matter and spirit, or in other words, he is both matter and spirit. In the advanced stage of Krishna consciousness, one therefore makes no such distinction. He sees only Krishna in everything. Since Krishna is both matter and spirit, the gigantic Universal form comprising all material manifestations is also Krishna, and his pastimes in Vrindavana, as two-handed Sundara playing on a flute, are those of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you, Prabhu. You can see here in the last paragraph, Sripad says, since Krishna is both matter and spirit, why? Because both are Krishna's energies. The gigantic universal form comprising all material manifestations is also Krishna. But then when we say this is Krishna, we should know this is not the same as Shamsundar Krishna living in Golok Vrindavan. This is Krishna's Avyakta Murtina, the unmanifested form, the Brahman aspect of Krishna. And then he says, his pastimes in Vrindavan is two-handed Shamsundar playing on a flute are those of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So having covered this topic now, let's go to the next section, which is about the other kind of worshipper of the Supreme Lord, known as Prithaktvena, those who worship the Supreme Lord in different forms. Demigod worship versus worshiping Supreme Lord, 9.20 to 25. So that will focus more on this session today. So here, again, there'll be a bit repetition of topic already covered before. Demigod worship has been covered before in chapter 3. It also came in chapter 7. This topic is coming again here. But here Krishna is comparing bhakti with worshipping of demigods. So text 20. Traividyamam somapaha putapapa yagyerishtva swargatim prarthayante te punyamasadya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. I'll read the second also, next also. Te tang bhuktva swargalokam vishalam shine punyamartya lokam vishanti evam trai dharmam anuprapanna gatagatam kama kama labhante. So text 20 says, those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice. Now, how can human beings drink the Soma juice, right? Soma juice is juice which is available to the residents of heaven. Sometimes some people do a mistake of translating Soma juice as some kind of intoxicant or some kind of wine, but it is not so. You know, the intoxicant or wine people drink here on planet Earth, that is into mode of ignorance. Whereas the Soma juice, though it also has an intoxicating effect, just like sugar, you know, you eat a lot of sugar, that also makes you a bit intoxicated. But then this Soma juice, just like honey also. So this Soma juice also leads to some intoxicating effect, but it's not really in mode of ignorance. And the demigods, they drink it to basically boost their energy. Like here we have energy boosters. People drink a lot of energy boosters. So they have their energy booster known as Soma juice. It gives them life. It gives them vitality. It gives them, you know, power. And that's how they enjoy life there. So how do the humans get to drink Soma juice? Very simple. When humans, they perform sacrifice to please the demigods, then the demigods, in return to what they have been given by the humans, they in return provide some immortality or some aspect of immortality to the humans. When we say some immortality, it doesn't mean that the humans are not going to die anymore. It just means that it adds to their life little more duration. It makes their life longer, you know. And the remnant of the food that is left behind, when you offer anything to the gods, they don't really eat it up. They accept it, but then there is something which is left behind that we call as prasadam or remnant. So when the performers of yajna, they eat this prasadam, they find the same taste as the taste of Soma juice. which is they're made of level to the demigods in the heaven. So this is how these people who seek the heavenly planets, Krishna says, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. So just like a person goes on a vacation. Now, when a person has gone on a vacation to a foreign country, so there are people living there in that foreign country who are the citizens of that foreign country. And there is a person who visits the foreign country, stays there for a week, maybe a month, maybe 6 months, depending on how much money he or she has and how long visa that person is carrying. And that person can enjoy there. And once that person finishes up either the visa limit or the money, then goes back to his or her own country. Similarly, in the heaven, there are some demigods who never leave heaven. They always stay there. They are permanent residents of heaven. And then there are people from earth who, because of having done some pious work, are given a period of stay in heaven, So as soon as they appear in heaven, their countdown begins. You have these many days left, kind of thing. And because that many days is related to a particular amount of punya. Once they finish their punya, then they are again out of heaven, So they are just like visitors. They visit there and then they come back. How they come back has already been explained before by Srila Prabhupada. It's given in detail in Mahabharata, very interestingly. Now, demigods don't take birth as humans or other species. There are 4 kinds of species, 4 broad categories of species: demigod species, human species, animal species, plant species. So the demigods, they don't take birth as humans. Like humans, there is a man, there is a woman, they unite with each other, there is pregnancy, and then there is a childbirth. So for demigods, it doesn't happen like that. Anyone who takes birth as a demigod, he or she just appears, he or she just appears, and they don't really have children in the heavenly planets. They all are adults. So they just appears and they begin to engage in whatever activity they are supposed to do. Someone will be there directing them to do that. So they'll spend their life there, and the day they have to leave the heaven, they will just disappear. Their clothes will fall off and they'll disappear from there. So now when they disappear from there, Mahabharata explains that these demigods who have fallen from heaven, they first come to the clouds, and then after they come to the clouds, when the cloud pours rain, through those raindrops they come to earth, from the clouds to the earth, and then in that way they enter the soil in the earth. Now then, once they have entered the soil, then these jivas or these living entities will then enter into the crops, the fruits, the vegetables, into different food items. And then when these are consumed by humans or animals, then they enter into the body of the living entity. Right? So if, let's say, it has entered into a male body, then from that male body, then that jiva is then transferred into female body when the male body unites with the female body. And in that way, that person again gets a human body or again appears as a human being. So this is how the whole process works. Now, some of these living entities who fall from heaven, they still have some pious credit in their bank account. It is like very simple. To give you an example, let's say you went to stay in a hotel, and then the daily rent of the room there was, let's say, $100. Okay, so you have $760. So if you calculate that, $760 will allow you to stay for 7 days, right? Because for the 8th day, you don't have $100 more, you just have $60. So now you have to leave the hotel, vacate it, and you still have those $60 left with you. So similarly, these people, when their pious credit is finished for stay in heaven, when they come back to earth, they still have some residual pious credit, balanced pious credit, So when they come to earth, then these people become famous celebrities, sports stars, and in that way, though they are humans, they become extraordinary humans, who have some very nice skill of singing, dancing. Maybe they look very good, or they become very, very popular. They become very famous. They become powerful politicians, world leaders, So they become greater than the ordinary mass of humans. Why they get all so much of worship and glory and fame and name is just their punya coming from the previous account. That's what makes them special. So then they finish up that also as a human being, and then now depending on what they did in their human form, they'll go to their next destination. So sometimes, if it amazes us why people like, let's say, Michael Jackson, he was so popular, so famous. What made him so famous? What did he do? It was nothing which he did in this life. It was all coming from his previous credit, and he just kind of exhausted that, being so famous, so popular, so much appreciated by people world over, right? So this is how it happens. Now, two kinds of people come to then planet Earth. They are demigods who fall from the heaven. So you'll see these people will be more in Sattva Guna. They'll become famous, but they'll be very much in Sattva Guna, and they'll also not engage in so much of sinful activity. And there are other kinds of people who also become very famous and popular. They are demons who rise from the lower planets. And so then they become like big time smugglers, terrorists, they also become world influencers who torture and terrorize the world, someone like Adolf Hitler kind of thing. So they also come. Now, why they come? This is a very interesting topic. Why they come? Earth being an intermediate platform between the heavens and the you can say the hellish planets, is always a playground, or is always a battleground for the demons and the demigods. The demons and the demigods, they use Earth for their fights. It's very simple. Where would two countries fight at? They would fight at the border, right? So Earth is like the border for both the heavens and the lower planets. So the demons, they live in the lower planets. The demigods, they live in the upper planets. So they use Earth as the field, as the place to fight. So whenever powerful personalities, they descend from heaven, equally powerful personalities are sent from the lower planets by the rulers of the lower planets. So you'll find this phenomenon happening on Earth. Whenever great personalities come on Earth, you'll also find equally great, very, very toxic and horrible personalities present on Earth. They are sent by these demoniac people to counterbalance or counterattack. You'll find this happening if you closely observe the lives of great personalities who are born in Bharatvarsha, or let's say the planet Earth in general. You'll find in the era they lived, there would also be very, very powerful demoniac people living on the Earth, who would be making demonic propagandas. So this is how the whole cosmos works. It's given very much in detail in Mahabharata. So let's read the purport now. Someone would like to volunteer reading the purport. Vijay Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The word Trividya refers to the three Vedas, Sama, Yajur and Rig. A Brahmana who has studied these three Vedas is called a Trivedi. Anyone who is very much attached to knowledge derived from these three Vedas is respected in society. Unfortunately, there are many great scholars of the Vedas who do not know studying them. Therefore, Krishna herein declares himself to be the ultimate goal for the Trivedis. Actual Trivedis take shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and engage in pure devotional service to satisfy the Lord.
Devotional service begins with the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and side by side trying to understand Krishna in truth. Unfortunately, those who are simply official students of the Vedas become more interested in offering sacrifices to the different demigods like Indra and Chandra. But such endeavor, the worshippers of different demigods are certainly purified of the contamination of the lower qualities of nature and are thereby elevated to the higher planetary systems or heavenly planets, Janaloka, Tapoloka, etc. Once situated on those higher planetary systems, one can satisfy his senses hundreds of thousands of times better than on this planet. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 21. So Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam shine punya martyalokam vishanti. This shloka says once the punya is over, then they come back. Punya martyalokam vishanti. Evam trai dharmam anuprapanna gatagatam kama kama labhante. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. Now, you see, in the previous verse, it is mentioned that they study the Vedas and by that they become purified and then they go to the heavenly planets where they enjoy godly delights. Now, if someone reads a shloka like this, then a person might get a bit, you say, influenced or tempted that let me also go to heaven, because heaven seems to be a very nice place, very enjoyable place, where you can have long life, so much of fun, no disease there, no old age there. People don't get old in heaven, so it must be a very nice place. But then come to the next shloka, and then Krishna says, when they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. And he ends by saying, those who follow the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. So in Gita, Krishna is talking about worship of demigods, but then he's also talking about the temporariness of that okay, it does give you some benefit, it does give you some enjoyment and happiness, but then it's not permanent, it's going to get over someday, so what happens is that the kind of excitement one gets because of achieving it is also coupled with the kind of suffering that will follow because of losing it. Isn't it? This is seen in the world. If you tell a person that you get this, but then after that you also lose this, then they will say, then why actually, go through the entire trouble? Because when you lose it, then it's more painful. So it's better not to get it. Because when you lose, then it's much, much more painful once you have got it. So here Krishna is basically, by telling this, trying to awaken a sense of detachment in the minds of the readers. This he'll do in Bhagavad-gita, but in Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, this is not done. There it is encouraged only, but then person after experience learns that this is quite frustrating. So then he gives it up. Okay, so we'll see the puppet here also. Yes, Usha Mataji, please read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
One who is promoted to the higher planetary systems enjoys a longer duration of life and better facilities for sense enjoyment. Yet one is not allowed to stay there forever. One is again sent back to this earth upon finishing the resultant fruits of pious activities. He who has not attained perfection of knowledge, as indicated in the Vedanta Sutra, 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗶 Yataha, or in other words, he who fails to understand Krishna, the causes of all causes, becomes baffled about achieving the ultimate goal of life and is thus subjected to the routine of, Prabhuji, can you just scroll up?
Yes.
Routine of life, being promoted to the higher planets and then again coming down, as if situated in Ferris wheel, which sometimes goes up and sometimes comes down. The purport is that instead of being elevated to the spiritual world from which there is no longer any possibility of coming down, one simply revolves in the cycle of birth and death on higher and lower planetary systems. One should better take the spiritual world to enjoy an eternal life full of bliss and knowledge, and never return to this miserable material existence. Hari Bol.
Thank you. So the previous verse said that one is promoted to heaven. This verse says that one is then demoted to earth, right? And Prabhupada then gives the example. It's just like the Ferris wheel. You go up and then down and up and then down, up and then down, you know. So there's some excitement when person is going up. One may feel so nice. Oh, now I'm rising high up in the sky and I can see everything from the top view, aerial view. But then when it comes down, it's not so exciting. You know, it's quite, for some people, it's quite horrible experience. Then again you go up, then again you come down. Think about it now. There are people who study the Vedas just for this purpose, that let me somehow purify, get some punya and go to heaven. They go to heaven, they live their life there in complete enjoyment, and then they come back. Now what happens is, this creates a kind of sanskar, a kind of pattern in their personality, and then they just want to do that again and again. So, you know, it basically becomes a kind of addiction. You know, any kind of material pleasure has the potential of becoming a cause of addiction and obsession. Anything. Now, in this world, we see people, they hate drug addicts, they hate alcoholics, they hate chain smokers, they hate those people who watch, you know, obscene movies or engage in obscene activities, because we think this is really, really bad. But honestly speaking, everyone in this world is some kind of addict. They are addicted to something or else. Some are addicted to chai, some are addicted to television, some are addicted to, you know, a particular kind of snack they like to eat, isn't it? Today in the morning, one devotee was asking another devotee during breakfast, prasadam time, what do you like to take in breakfast? And that person said, cheese. So then he said, cheese? And do you take it every day? He said, no, only when I am able to get cheese from New York and US, you know, like someone from New York brings me cheese, then I eat cheese in my breakfast. So now you can see, though that person has left New York and come to Vrindavan, still could not leave the cheese of New York, right? Is still addicted or attached to eating that cheese, which is available in New York and US. So everyone is addicted in some way. But then some addictions are socially acceptable and some addictions are socially not so acceptable, you know. So those which are socially acceptable, we call that as good. And those are not acceptable, we label those people as bad. So how the same thing happens with these people. They do yajna, go to heaven, enjoy there, come back to earth, and then that tendency is still there. Then again do yajna, again go to heaven, again enjoy and come back. In this way, they keep on going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, right? Like Prabhupada said, in the Ferris wheel. Like you have seen in a fun park, one child is there along with the father, and the child will say, I want to go enjoy that ride. And the father buys the ticket, and then the child goes, and he likes it very much, you know. So then when the ride is over, the child will again come to the father and say, one more time, you know, and the father will buy the ticket. And then again he goes the ride, you know, for the second time. It's still that craving is there. So please, father, one more time, last, third time, I want to do the same ride. And the father again buys a new ticket. Similarly, people, those who are addicted to enjoying in heaven, they keep going up and down, up and down, up and down. And they don't realize that this is not permanent. We have to suffer so much to be here. Now Krishna will give a contrast to what happens to his devotees, where they go and how it is different from heavenly experience. So then he speaks the next verse, which is 9.22, very beautiful shloka in Bhagavad-gita. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogashemam vahamyaham. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, ananya bhakti, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. This is a very beautiful shloka, and so many stories can be told from the lives of different Vaishnavas, quite fitting this purport here, that Krishna provides what a devotee lacks and Krishna saves or preserves what a devotee has. I don't know if you have heard the story of Arjunacharya, because I have told this story before in some of the sessions. So there is this one story of Arjunacharya Brahmana from South India, and Krishna, I'll tell you this story and I'll tell you one more story. If you have heard it, very nice. If you have not heard it, you'll love it. Those who have heard it will also love it, because it's a nice story. So Arjunacharya was a Brahmana, a Sri Vaishnava Brahmana living in South India. I don't remember the town in which he lived. So the story comes in one of the books from the life of Ramanujacharya. I think he was a disciple of Ramanuja or something like that. So he was a regular student of Gita. He would every day study Bhagavad-gita. And in the morning after studying Bhagavad-gita, he would go out to beg for alms, bhiksha, because he was a Brahmana. That's how he would survive. He was very poor, was married, had a wife, and they both were very pious, very satisfied, though they were quite poor. So Arjunacharya, once he was studying Bhagavad-gita from his own personal copy. Now in those days, your own personal copy means you either copied it from someone else's copy, or you asked. There were people who used to do this job of making copies of scriptures and then selling it for goods in return. So, so he had his own personal copy and he would study from that. So he came across this shloka 9.22, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paripasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogashema vahamyaham. So this shloka literally means that Krishna is saying, I carry what they lack, which means like Krishna personally carries and then gives to them. So Arjunacharya was thinking, how can Bhagavan, who is such a great personality and who is doing so many things, how can he personally carry the needs of every single devotee? He might be doing it through someone else. Like, when you're a big person, you have hundreds and thousands of servants to do what you have to do. So then he may just order people, okay, you do this, you do that, you do this. Why would he personally carry? So he thought maybe my edition of Bhagavad-gita has a mistake, because someone copied it and gave it to me. So there was a mistake in Sanskrit. So he cut the word vahami and he put the word karomi. Karomi means I get it done. Vahami means I do it, I carry it. So he just cut the word, saying that this cannot be correct, means it is not really logical. And then he went out to do his daily duty of begging for alms. That day was a very bad day for him. Every day would be a bad day, but this was a very, very bad day. No one gave him anything. And meanwhile, at his home, while his wife was there at home, two very young children came and knocked on the door of the house. So the lady opened, and then those children said that, Guru Ma, we have brought these goods for you. So much of food stuff is there, ghee is there, anna is there, right? Vegetables, fruits, so much. So then the lady said, who sent all this? And then the two boys said that your husband, our guru, he has sent. He said, my husband, so much, he never gets so much. Today, how he got so much? And second thing, my husband has disciples also. That also two young children that I never knew. So she asked, really, is it sent by him? And they said, yes, yes, yes. And they were quite afraid and frightened. So she asked, is everything okay? Why are you so scared? What are you scared about? You are huffing and panting and you are so tense, you're perspiring. So then the boy said, actually, we should not stay here for long, because if we stay here and your husband comes back, he may beat us. And the lady said, why would he do that? So then one of them said, because, when we told him that we are so small, we cannot carry so much of good to your home, he chastised us and he even bet us. You can see on our back, there's a beating of a stick on the back. So he was very rude to us. We told him, we are small kids, how can we carry so much? And they said, no, you have to carry, you have to take it home. So somehow we brought it here, now we should run away from here. And the lady was totally shocked. She had never heard anyone complain in such a manner about her husband. She thought, my husband is so kind, so soft, so gentle. And now two kids come and tell that he is cruelty personified. Now this is something what she did not expect. So she said, okay, you come inside, I'll cook something and feed you, and let my husband also come and I'll talk to him what's wrong with him today. So the kids, they just waited there, and she went inside to cook something, but when she came out, they were gone. Both left, disappeared. So when this man comes back, the lady is not in good mood today. So she thinks, what's wrong with her today? So maybe she's too hungry, and that's why she's angry. So he asked, what happened? And then she told the whole story. And the man said, which two boys? I did not send any two boys. I don't have any disciples. You know that. And then she said, but they were claiming to be disciples and they brought so much. Why would they bring so much then? And then Arjunacharya was thinking about it, thinking. Then something struck to him. He said, how did they look? And the lady said, well, one was blackish in complexion, other one was whitish in complexion. They had curly hairs, and they looked so soft like butter. And I don't know, why did you beat them? And Arjuna said, come on. And then he went to the room where he had kept his Bhagavad-gita book, which he was studying, and he looked at the shloka there. So in the morning, he had cut the word vahami and written there karomi, but now that line was not there anymore. The line had disappeared from there, So then he understood, actually, these two boys were Krishna and Balaram, who personally came and gave what he lacked, what he needed. And the beating which was there on Krishna's back was his cut mark, which he had put on the shloka in the text, So that's how he had hurt Krishna, by cutting Krishna's words, by showing but by showing disbelief in Krishna's statement, he had hurt Krishna. So this was a lesson he got, that Krishna, yes, provides. Krishna personally provides. This is one story. And there's another very beautiful story. Actually, there are 2-3 stories, but we don't have time. There's one story about one girl in South India, but that's very long. I'll not tell that. The other story is related to Lord Jagannath. This is also very sweet. I'll show you a picture about that story. It's a very, very beautiful picture that depicts the story. I found in the, so this is called Kanchi Abhayan. Kanchi is the name of a place in South India, and Abhayan means kind of an expedition, So you can see in this picture, it's a painting. Generally you find this kind of paintings in Jagannath Puri, Orissa, where on cloth they put all these paintings. So here you can see there are 2 people riding horses, and there's a lady there carrying a pot. So very beautiful story this is. It's related to the king of Jagannath Puri. His name was Purushottam Dev. So this king was a staunch devotee of Lord Jagannath. Generally, that's how it is. All the kings of Jagannath Puri are very great devotees of Lord Jagannath. So he was a very, very great devotee. And because of his devotion, his sincerity, his chivalry, he became very powerful, and his kingdom was expanding day by day, day by day, day by day. And his fame spread all over. He was not married, but still he was a powerful ruler, and other kings also feared him. So once this king, Purushottam Dev, he made a tour. He went to South India. He visited South India. So when the king of Kanchi came to know Purushottam Dev has come, he invited the king to stay with him. He invited him to stay in the palace, was very courteous, warm welcome, good food. He showed him around the palace, the kingdom. And Purushottam Dev was quite impressed because Kanchi was a big kingdom, huge army, lot of wealth. Now the king of Kanchi thought, this person seems to be a gentleman and he's very powerful. So if I want to solidify my relationship with him, let me offer my daughter in marriage to him. This is what kings used to do in the past. If they wanted to become an ally to a kingdom, they would get marriage done with that king or prince in that way. So his daughter name was Padmavati, and he said, okay, I wish to offer my daughter to you. You get married to her. Padmavati was a very gentle girl, and she was also a great devotee. So Purushottam Dev agreed. He said, okay, fine, we'll do that, but not now. I have to go back. I have to take care of some duties. Then we'll see, maybe in next year we do the marriage. All sorted. The king left, came back to Orissa. Months passed, and the king of Kanchi did not hear any news from Orissa. So those days they did not have what we have these days, right? The distraction device called mobile phone. So they did not have those things. So the king sent the minister to Orissa. They go see what Purushottam Dev is doing, and also give me a report. How is his kingdom? He came and did a survey of our kingdom, but we don't know how his kingdom is. So you go and do a survey and you see how does he live, what is his treasury, do people really respect him, obey him? So the minister said, all right. So the minister came to Jagannath Puri, and that day happened to be the day of Rath Yatra. So millions of people had come to Jagannath Puri. It was so crowded. Somehow the minister found his way and reached to the middle of the whole festival where the Jagannath cart was there. And he saw, to his great surprise, that person, Purushottam Dev, who claimed to be the king of the state, was brooming the street in front of Jagannath. So we know that's the tradition there, that the king of the country there, he is supposed to clean the road with a golden broomstick in front of the cart of Lord Jagannath. Now that is something which is an honorable task. It's not something which is which is to be considered as derogatory. It's something low. But then the minister thought, come on, how can a king broom the street? This is the job of a chandal, of a bhangi, street sweeper. So maybe this person, either he's not the king, or this person is such a useless king that no one respects him. So because of that, he personally has to clean the street, and there's no one who is obeying his command or order to clean the street. So he said, this is way below standard. We cannot get our princess get married to a bhangi, a street sweeper. Come on, this is too bad. And with that impression, he left the kingdom immediately, without talking, without clarifying. So this is how you see people, when they come to a quick decision or judgment, they can be very wrong. So he left, very angry. And with this much hatred towards the king Purushottam Dev, he went to Kanchi and blurted out everything in front of the king of Kanchi. Now the king of Kanchi was also very angry hearing this. He said, what, did you see him brooming the street? Come on, that's too low. That's not what a king's supposed to do. So this is an insult to us. We must take a revenge. We want to have a battle. We want to fight. Now you can see sometimes how kings can be so crazy. For such a small thing, they want to have a battle, right? That's why it is given in Niti Shastra that those people who are powerful, stay at distance from them, because they can anytime misuse their power. So sometimes kings can be like that. Though they are respected, worshipped by the citizens, but sometimes they go crazy. So he said, no, we must avenge for the insult he has done, and that's why we will have a battle, we'll have a war. Go tell him that we are coming, we are marching. And not only this, he also told the minister to send a message to the king of Orissa, Purushottam Dev, that it's a challenge. We will defeat you, and this particular Bhagavan, this Jagannath whom you call as God, for whom you are doing street sweeping, we will bring that Jagannath and put that Jagannath at the back of Ganesha temple in Kanchi. In Kanchi, there was a big Ganesha temple, and they said that we'll bring Jagannath and put him at the back. So it was kind of an insult to Jagannath. We'll do that. So when this news came back to Purushottam Dev was very hurt. He was like, how can you say something about Jagannath? Fine, you have a problem with me, that's okay. But why do you bring Jagannath in this? Why you pull Jagannath into this? So he took this as an insult towards Jagannath. And he became inflamed. He said, fine, we will also fight. We are ready to do anything for Jagannath. And he announced, tomorrow we are also marching for the battle. In Josh, in great impulsively he mentioned that. But later in the night, while he was resting, Purushottam was thinking, did I do a mistake? Because I am a small king with a small army, and King of Kanchi is a big king with a big army. Now, let's say I get defeated. Then what will happen? Then they will take away Jagannath. And if they take away Jagannath, then all the devotees of Jagannath who come from Bengal, who come from, other different states, who live in Orissa, they come to take darshan of Jagannath. How will they go to Kanchi to take his darshan? It's too far. And this will be a big insult to the Lord. This will be a big disservice to the devotees. So then Purushottam Dev thought, maybe I did a big mistake. I should have just told the king, I am not interested in any kind of battle. Why did I accept the challenge? So now, because he was in trouble, he immediately ran to Jagannath temple and went in front of Jagannath, and he said a prayer. He said, my dear Lord, please forgive me. I did a big mistake. I should have said no, but I agreed for the battle. Now I realize that if I lose, you will lose. And that will be a big disservice to you. So now you please help me in this way. He dropped his problem bag in front of Jagannath and came back. So next day, battle preparation has started. From there, the king of Kanchi is going to march. And from here, the king of Orissa is going to march. Purushottam Dev started with his army. But from his army, 2 horses with soldiers ran ahead, as if to go and tell the news to the king of Kanchi that we are coming, we are going to fight. So these 2 soldiers, when they came quite hastily towards Kanchi, in between on the route, they stopped at a village. And in that village, they met this lady whom I showed in the picture, the painting, So this lady was coming from the house. She had freshly prepared buttermilk, and she was taking that buttermilk to the market to sell it. I hope all of you have tasted buttermilk, not the packet buttermilk, the real buttermilk. So then she had prepared fresh buttermilk, which was so cool, summer season, and she was going into the market to sell it. It was early morning time. So these 2 soldiers who had rushed from Jagannath Puri, they were already quite tired. So they stopped there, and then they called this old lady and said, what are you carrying, lady? And she said, I have buttermilk. So they said, can we have some? She said, sure, why not? So she gave them, you have seen this earthen glass, it's called kasora. So she gave one glass to both of them. They drank, and it was too less for them. So they said more, they drank more, Again, more. In this way, they finished the entire pot, made it all empty. She was very happy. I did not have to go to the market. I got the customers on the way, and now I can go back home and enjoy, have a very peaceful day. No need to work. So then she said, okay, now money. And these two people said, money? We don't carry any money when we go to fight, so we don't have any money. So the lady said, what? First of all, you drank everything. You did not even leave a drop behind. And then you say you have no money. What kind of crazy nuts you are? You don't have any intelligence. So she was now getting very, very angry. And then these two people said, okay, calm down, mother. You see, we are soldiers in the army of Purushottam Dev. And you know Purushottam Dev, right? You know he is the king. He is very rich. So you ask him for the money, he will pay. And she said, he will pay? But why would he believe me? Why would he accept that you drank my buttermilk and he should pay? So what's the proof? So they said, okay, you want a proof? So one of them, you can see in the painting, it was shown that he took out his ring and gave it to the lady. That this is the proof. You give this ring to Purushottam Dev. When he sees the ring, he'll identify, okay, these are my soldiers. So then he will pay. The lady said, all right, fine. What can be done? So she took the ring and then she was waiting whole day. So by the evening time, now the army came. Purushottam Dev was leading the army and the lady just ran in front of them and said, wait, stop. So Purushottam Dev said, what happened? He said, two people from your army, two soldiers riding on two horses, black and white, they drank all my buttermilk and you have to pay. And the king said, I have to pay. Yes, this is a proof. She took out the ring and gave it to Purushottam Dev. When Purushottam Dev saw that ring, he identified it. It was the ring of Lord Jagannath, the ring which he had gifted to Lord Jagannath. So this was the ring of Jagannath. Now he was thinking, then how did she get the ring? Did someone steal the ring and then gave it to her? Who are those two soldiers? Now, though he is one voice is saying maybe those two are the Lord, but then another voice is saying maybe someone stole the ring from Jagannath and then was running away and escaping and maybe by mistake gave it or whatever. So then anyway he thought this lady is very special, is very blessed because she got the ring of Jagannath. So then he said, okay, you give me the ring back and in return I'll give you 100 villages. I'll make you the landlady of 100 villages, and whatever tax you get from that village will come to you. And now this lady was thinking, who are those two guys? I mean, they made me a billionaire in just one day. They gave it to 100 villages. And she was thanking the Lord. Thank you, Jagannath, for all the mercy. And the king left. Now the king had just completed that day, and the second day they had started marching on when they got the news that the king of Kanchi is defeated. And Purushottam Dev was thinking, who defeated them? And then they got the news. There are two soldiers, one black, one white, riding a black horse, a white horse. They came and they defeated the entire army of Kanchi. And of course, Purushottam Dev now knew they were none other than Jagannath and Baladeva, Krishna and Balaram. So here again, Krishna is promising his word, fulfilling his promise that I carry what they lack and I provide I preserve what they have. So he did for Purushottam Dev. Now the story still continues. So Purushottam Dev goes to Kanchi and the king surrenders. The king says, I am now your surrendered king. So my kingdom is yours. My daughter is yours. My ministers are yours. My wealth is yours. And even the Ganesha, Lord Ganesha is yours. So Purushottam Dev says, all right, I'll take Lord Ganesha, but I'll not take your daughter. So the king said, why? He said, you thought that it's not up to your standard to marry your daughter to the king of Orissa because the king is a sweeper, a street sweeper. So then I think your daughter is also not qualified to marry the king. She should get married to a street sweeper only. So you find a street sweeper and get her married. So this way, Purushottam Dev left from there and he took Ganesha. So now if you go to Jagannath Puri, next time if you go to Jagannath Puri, do notice at the back of the temple compound, you'll find a Ganesha Murti, a huge Ganesha Murti. So that Ganesha Murti has come from Kanchi. defeated by Purushottam Dev. So then he brought that Ganesha as a sign of victory that yes. And for Ganesha, it's not an insult because Ganesha is anyway a servant of Jagannath. He won't mind standing behind Jagannath. So in fact, he would be very happy that he came to Jagannath Kshetra, Purushottam Kshetra. So then, when this Padmavati was brought in front of Purushottam Dev got very annoyed and told his minister, you go and take her and get her married to some Bhangi, some street sweeper. So Padmavati said, come on, please don't get me married to a Bhangi. Either I'll die or I'll remain single. I'll never get married, but don't get me married to a street sweeper. So the minister was now confused. The king has given this order and this lady, this girl is such a nice girl, so qualified. How can she be married to a street sweeper? That's really, really bad. So the minister waited for some time. Let's have patience. Maybe in future something will be done. So then they came back to Orissa, Jagannath Puri. 1 year passed. Again, there was a Rath Yatra festival. Everyone was so happy. Purushottam Dev was in front of Jagannath Rath Yatra cart and he was sweeping the street. So at that time, the minister comes and said, my dear king, there's something very important to discuss with you. And then the king said, what? He said, I today, after such a long search, found the right candidate for Padmavati. And the king said, then go get her married. If you found very nice, you go get her married. So then the minister said, but I need you also for that. And he said, why? He said, you told me to get her married to a street sweeper. Who can be a better street sweeper than you? You are the best street sweeper. So that's why you get married to Padmavati. And this really, really, made the king happy because he was thinking this person is so intelligent. He knows how to win people's heart, and he said, okay, fine, we get married to Padmavati. So in that way, the king got married to Padmavati. And then, I don't tell you the other part, then they gave birth to another very illustrious Vaishnava who then became the king of Jagannath Puri, because both of them were great devotees. Padmavati later on also became a great devotee of Lord Jagannath. So this was second story, and there are so many more, but we don't have time, of how Krishna, he does ananya chintayantu mam ye jana paripasate, that what a devotee who surrendered to Krishna will provide what they lack and preserve what they have. So I'll give you a break now, 2-3 minutes, then we come back and continue the discussion. Hare Krishna. Okay, welcome back. So now, this topic which we just covered may make us think, what will Krishna actually protect? Because you see, I told you some good stories. So in one story we heard a devotee was lacking food, and then Krishna provided food. Then another story we heard that a devotee was lacking army power and was going to fight a battle. Then Krishna became the cause of victory for that devotee. In case of Arjuna also, Krishna helps Arjuna to gain victory over the Kauravas, which was almost next to impossible for Arjuna to do. So here we see Krishna providing material things to his devotees, or material benefits, material gain, material success. But is that Krishna will do so for everyone? Will he provide every single devotee with whatever their devotee thinks I lack? Let's say good money, good house, good family, good health, fame and name. Will Krishna do that for every single devotee? So what exactly, how Krishna is going to fulfill this instruction? So one thing is that, first of all, there's a condition here. Krishna himself mentioned, Ananayas chintayantuma. A person should be on that level of devotion, which is Ananya Bhakti, completely devoted to Krishna, just like a small child is completely dependent on the parent for maintenance. If a devotee is of that caliber, then Krishna definitely takes care. But again, there's one more thing. Now, for that, I ask you to do some discussion, or let's say not discussion, just to kind of brainstorm. So, for a devotee, if we're talking about a devotee, what is the most important thing that the Supreme Lord should protect for his devotees? What is that most important thing that Krishna should protect for a devotee?
For devotion and faith.
Faith, okay. Faith, thank you. Devotion, yes, Mataji said devotion. Bhakti, the soul.
Complete surrender.
Surrender, okay. All right. So yes, faith in him, that's very important, yes. Or devotional service towards him, he should protect that. He should protect devotees' enthusiasm. He should protect devotees' devotion-imbued consciousness. he should protect devotees' remembrance of Krishna so that the devotee does not forget Krishna, right? So that's the most important thing that Krishna should protect. Yes, progress in Krishna consciousness. Like Krishna says in Gita, whatever little that devotee has done, I'll give it to that devotee in the next life, carry it forward from there. So that's the most important thing that Krishna is going to protect. So for some people, it may not be really true that Krishna will provide for their material needs always, or whatever they lack, materially speaking. Sometimes no, sometimes Krishna may not do that. But the most essential thing Krishna will definitely protect. For that, I'll tell you a story. It's a story about a Vaishnava, a true Vaishnava, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Can't tell you in detail about him. He's a great personality. Some of you must have heard his kirtans, and I don't know if you took his darshan when he was present on the planet. I'll later on show a video about him, and you can also later on read about him. But don't go and just surf internet, because sometimes in internet you don't get really authorized information. So this is Prabhupada's disciple. His name was His Grace Aindra Prabhu, very famous personality in ISKCON. If you have not heard his kirtans, go online, download his kirtans and hear them. He was famous for kirtan in ISKCON. A person who really, really changed the definition of kirtan in ISKCON. So I had the good fortune of sitting in his kirtan 1 or 2 times, because he left his body in 2010 in Vrindavan. And whenever we visited Vrindavan, one of the most interesting thing and exciting thing for us would be to participate in his kirtans, which would happen in the evening. Every evening he would sing for 1 hour, and that would be the most ecstatic 1 hour in the 24 hours in the temple. So a great person. He was born in the family of musicians in 1953. He met Prabhupada and took initiation in 73. How he got initiated, how he became devotee is a very interesting story. He would go out on streets in those days in New York to do Harinam Sankirtan for 8 to 12 hours daily. Because he was a musician, he learned instruments fast, he could sing very well. So, when he came to Vrindavan in 1986, he left America and came to Vrindavan, he read in a book that if you die in Yamuna, you go back to Godhead. If you leave your body in Yamuna. So he left the temple ashram and started walking towards Yamuna, that today I want to die, and I'll jump into Yamuna and leave my body, and this way I'll be back to Godhead. So when he was walking, then he heard the voice of Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada told him, you go back and don't die, because I want you to do something. And what is that something? I want you to start 24-hour kirtan in Krishna Balaram temple. Prabhupada wanted that in my temple in Vrindavan, there should be 24-hour kirtan of Hare Krishna. And during Prabhupada times, it was happening, but when Prabhupada left the planet, it stopped. In fact, ISKCON had to pay people money to do kirtan. Because who would do 24-hour kirtan? It's not easy, 24-hour kirtan means day and night you have to just chant. So people can do in the daytime, but what about nighttime? Especially nights in Vrindavan when it is cold. Wow, that's very cool. So Prabhupada gave him this instruction that you chant every day, and you start this 24-hour kirtan. So in those days, now you go to Vrindavan, especially in the month of Kartik, you'll not get a place to stand. It is so crowded, so crowded. That's why they put 5-6 television screens, big screens, so that people can take darshan. But in those days, Vrindavan was not like that. It was very less crowded. People seldom visited, and there were not many devotees also. So it is said that Prabhuji, because he got this instruction, he would sing for 16 to 18 hours daily, sitting in front of the deity. And because one person can only play one instrument, so he would play his harmonium, and there was no one to support him for kartal. So he had tied piles, anklets in his leg. And in this way, he would, tap the floor with the feet, and that will make the anklet sound. So that was his karta, and he would play the harmonium, and he would get any person come to temple. So he will call that person and said, you sit and play the mridanga. And that person said, I don't know how to play mridanga. So he said, you just do dum 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 dum, that's fine, I'll accept that much. And in this way, he would sing for 16 to 18 hours daily, every day, non-stop, winter, summer, anytime. And then slowly, Krishna started sending people. Now, one of the most famous kirtaniyas in ISKCON, the most famous mridanga players in ISKCON, whoever they all are actually his students. You know, if you heard the name of Madhava, Madhav Prabhu, face nice singer, is his student. He learned from him. There's so many of them touring all over the world, and actually they all learned from Indra Prabhu. So he went to Golok Vrindavan in 2010, July 17. How? In a fire accident. You know, he left his body in a fire accident. In his room, which I'll show you now, is a beautiful room actually. Sometime you come to Vrindavan, you can visit his room. This was his room, and you can see he worshipped 1200 Shaligram Shilas daily. 1200 Shaligram Shilas daily, which means taking each Shila, massaging oil to them, sprinkling them with water, then drying them with a cloth. So it took him 4, 5, 6 hours daily to worship all the Shilas. And then you can see two big deities of Nitai Gaurasundar, which he used to call Nitai Sachisuta. You know, and there are many other deities in the altar. Ashtasakis are there, Prabhupada deity is there, you know, Bhaktisiddhanta Sri Thakura is there, Ananga Manjari is there. So every day he would worship. And if he would not complete this worship, it said, I mean, these are very exalted Vaishnavas, so they can do something like that. Only after completing his worship and daily chanting 116 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, would it drink a drop of water, you know. So that was his daily sadhana. Complete the worship, complete 116 rounds of japa, do 1 or 2 hours of kirtan in the temple, then drink a drop of water, you know. So very austere person. If you go to his room, you'll find a clock without hands. So he did so that he would not know when is night, when is day, and he can hold a sit and chant, you know. So that was his level of consciousness. So Prabhupada did not give those shilas to Indra Prabhu. He got those shilas. I mean, the shilas came to him. People would just leave the shilas in front of his room because they knew that he liked to worship them. So slowly it started building up, and then it became 1200 shilas. So I'll later on show the video. What happened is he was in his room at night and there was a gas cylinder blast, and that the room caught fire, and then he was also a bit injured and he left his body. So now you see, if a person who is not a devotee and who does not know philosophy well will question why Krishna had to do something with such a special devotee, so dedicated, so devoted, you know, who not even drink water without worshipping Krishna. Why that person has to die in a fire accident? Why? You know, so we cannot understand the reasons behind that, but we understand philosophy properly that Krishna protects what? Krishna protects the faith, the consciousness, right? So there is a book by Indra Prabhu about himself. Who now worships the Shilas? They are pujaris who worship the Shilas. So there's a book, and before Indra Prabhu left his body, he had come to know who he was in the spiritual world, what was his swarupa, and what seva he used to do. So he came to know. I don't have the picture now. I could have shown to you. So he plays a special kind of veena for the pleasure of Radharani and Krishna in the spiritual world, and he came to know that in his through his sadhana and bhajan. It was revealed to him. So he had made his life successful, basically. So Krishna protects that. That's most important. Krishna protects one's consciousness. I'll show a video at the end. You can wait and watch later. It's not compulsory, but you'll enjoy later at the end of the class. So Prabhupada says something regarding this. He says, so for persons who are completely in Krishna consciousness, there is no scarcity. This is very encouraging. No Krishna conscious should think, I will be in scarcity, I'll be in want. No, rest assured that you will never be in want. If you keep your full faith in Krishna, you'll always live happily and will be given the chance of chanting Hare Krishna. If you take this advantage of chanting Hare Krishna, in whatever position you may be in, you will never be unhappy. You'll always be prosperous. So why don't you take advantage of this? Just try it. Make an experiment. So that's what is assured by Krishna here. Now let's go to the next shloka, shloka 23. where Krishna says, comes back to the worship of demigods. Ye panya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship me only, O son of Kunti. But they do so in a wrong way. Avidhi purvakam. Why they do it in a wrong way? Because in Bhagavad-gita, Krishna is advocating demigod worship in chapter 3. So Krishna is saying they do it in a wrong way because they think these demigods are my competitors. That's the wrong way. If they think that these demigods are servants of Krishna, no problem. But then when they start thinking these demigods are competitors of Krishna, that's wrong. So this is avidhi purvakam, and Prabhupada writes about that in the purport. Someone please read the slide here, illegal worship. Rasheshwari Mataji, your hand is up. Yes, you can read.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The demigods, Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yes.
The demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Supreme Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different officers and directors of the Lord. The officers and directors are engaged as representatives of the government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated here as avidhi purvakam.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
So what one should do is, Prabhupada explains about that. Lazy intelligence means to do less to do more. Service to one God, the Supreme Lord, is service to all the many gods. That's the right process. You serve the root and then you benefit the whole tree. But then if you just go on serving the leaves, you will not be able to serve all the leaves. Some leaves will be left. So here, this is the intelligent way of worship. It's not that we are against the demigods. It's just that we want to do the worship in a way that all are pleased with us, all are happy with us, not just only one person is happy with us. So by putting our service to Krishna, we are able to get that benefit of serving everyone. Our service reaches everyone. That's the benefit. Let's go to the next shloka. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhurev cha na tu mam abhijananti tatvena tascha vantite. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. So here Krishna is talking about the less intelligent persons who worship the demigod for temporary benefit. So here something which I have to ask you, if person is reading Bhagavad-gita and a person becomes confused because he or she sees in chapter 3, Krishna had told Arjuna that demigods, they provide you basic necessities of life. They give you rain, sunlight, air, and food. So you should perform yajna to satisfy them. Krishna even said, you satisfy them, they satisfy you. Win-win situation. So in chapter 3, Krishna advocated that. And in chapter 9, Krishna is rejecting that. So why in one scripture only we find two such contradicting statements or instructions? Why is the scripture not, not having, what do you call that? Cohesiveness in the instructions. Why it is telling one thing here and the other thing there? So how would you reply to such a person on your understanding, based on your understanding of Bhagavad-gita so far? Surya Mataji, your hand is up. Do you want to answer?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Lord also says that he is the enjoyer and benefactor of all the yajnas, and he also says he is the supreme and all are the, what should I say? Lower departments heads. He has
given to them. So directly or indirectly, we are serving only Lord Shri Krishna, as well as on the platform of a human being, it is our duty to do the Vedic, to perform Vedic injunctions, because it is also Lord's own words. This is my understanding.
Okay, that's fine. But then why should he then, he can just say that, okay, in this situation you worship the demigods, in this situation you don't worship the demigods. But in one place he's supporting it, and in the places he's outrightly, rejecting it. So then how do we explain that? Vrindarani Mataji?
I think that those instructions refers to people on different level of consciousness, because in the chapter 3 it refers, I think, to uncivilized people if they accept rules and regulations of Vedas, they elevate themselves. But here Krishna's addressing devotees, and for them it's not favorable to worship demigods, because there is much better way. They are already on some higher level, I think.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much. Yeah, so the understanding is basically there are different levels of instructions for different kinds of people. There in chapter 3, Krishna was just somehow they're encouraging Arjuna to come to the platform of being dutiful. So in that context, he was saying that as a part of your duty, as a part of duty for humans, they should be worshipping they should be doing sacrifice to the demigods, being little grateful for what we receive from the demigods. But then here Krishna is talking about spirituality at a way higher level, really, really higher level, where he's saying that you should just focus on the Supreme Lord's service. That's pure devotional service. So we should know, because now we have studied Bhagavad-gita, and we have studied that in Gita Krishna talks about yoga at different levels. He has instructions for different candidates. That's why the instructions are of different nature or different type, so there, that instruction is also valid, but then not so applicable for pure devotees of Krishna, right? Yeah, so I think everyone else will also agree with that answer, and other comments which you have put in the chat box are also correct. Fine. So let's now go to the last verse for this. Okay, of a lesson. Whatever is acceptable at lower levels of one's spiritual development is sometimes unhealthy at higher levels of development. That's why it should be rejected. So when you have to reject it, then you have to sometimes when you have to tell someone to give up something, then you have to tell that person that this is bad for you or this is wrong for you. You have to criticize it. Then when that criticism is heard, then you feel like giving up. Okay, it's bad now, let me give it up. So Krishna is doing that with Arjuna here. This is not really suitable for you. Last verse. Yanti deva vrita devan pitrin yanti pitrivataha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajinopimam. He says, those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. So here Krishna is telling that there are different people based on their different worship. They'll have different destinations because it's their consciousness that carries them to the next place. So whatever they are thinking about, that's what they will get. This is something which now even modern people, scientists realize. You read that book. What was the name of that book? I think The Secret or something like that. And many self-help books that you find in the bookshelf in the bookshops. They believe in this concept that your thoughts create your future. So if you are a person with a lot of positive thinking, then you will have a very bright, positive future. they do understand that principle that our thoughts create our future. So this is based on Bhagavad-gita. Krishna is saying that you worship someone, you adore someone, appreciate someone. So you also go there. That's your destination. Let's read the purport. Hanit Mataji.
Hare Krishna. If one has any desire to go to the moon, the sun, or any other planet, one can attain the desired destination by following specific Vedic principles recommended for that purpose, such as the process technically known as 𝗪𝗲-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪-𝗪 These are vividly described in the fruitive activities portion of the Vedas, which recommends a specific worship of demigods situated on different heavenly planets. Similarly, one can attain Pita planets by performing a specific yajna. Similarly, one can go to many ghostly planets and become a yaksha, raksha, or pisacha. The pisacha worship is called black arts or black magic. There are many men who practice this black art and they think that it is spiritualism, but such activities are completely materialistic. Similarly, a pure devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead only achieves the planets of Vaikuntha and Krishna Loka without a doubt. It is very easy to understand through this important verse that by simply worshipping the demigods, one can achieve the heavenly planets, or by worshipping the Pitas, achieve the Pita planets, or by practicing the black arts, achieve the ghostly planets. Why can the pure devotee not achieve the planet of Krishna or Vishnu? Unfortunately, many people have no information of these sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live. Because they do not know of them, they fall down. Even the impersonalists fall down from the Brahma Jyoti. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore distributing sublime information to the entire human society to the effect that by simply chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can become perfect in this life and go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Krishna talks about different kinds of destinations. This table, which I'll show you, gives you a summary of the shloka. Different kinds of worship in different modes. Those who worship demigods, they're mostly controlled by mode of goodness. Those who worship ancestors, they are in mode of passion. Ghosts and spirits worshippers are in mode of ignorance. Those who worship Krishna or Vishnu Tattva, they're in pure goodness. So you can see basically it's your consciousness and level of consciousness which attracts you a particular kind of worship. Worshipping the ghosts and spirits means the consciousness is so dull, or you can say dead, that it gets attracted to dead things. Then ancestors worship means worshipping humans. Worshipping the demigods means worshipping beings superior to humans. And worshipping Krishna or Vishnu means worshipping the supreme transcendence. So accordingly, the destination is they go to different places, right? It's not that because everyone or everything is Krishna, the destination is same, because though everything is Krishna, it's not the same aspect of Krishna. It is Krishna in different ways that person, and that's what that person achieves. Okay, so we'll stop here. And before I take a question, I'll show you that video. It's a wonderful video on the life of Andrew Babu. Meanwhile, you can put your questions in the chat box. over here behind me, you'll see that there's various. These are my tree dandas. Some people take tree danda sannyas. Well, I've taken tree danda sannyas. These are my tree dandas. These are from trees and creepers from different parts of Vrindavan, from Nidhivan, Vangsivat. This is a small tree. Vangsivat, you know, the vata tree from where Krishna stood playing his flute to call the gopis for Maharas.
So when you go to different places of pilgrimages, you just take some of those different artifacts, so to speak. Okay.
Because it mentions, and every day I worship them. Every day I put I wash the feet of the tree with water. I offer water to the tree. You know, because it mentions in one place in Vrindavan Mahimamrita that by worshiping the trees of Vrindavan, that the trees will benedict the devotee to eternally reside in Vrindavan. So, what you see on the walls all over here, this has been like this for at least 15 years.
15 years it's been like that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So as long as it doesn't get wet, it remains intact. There's no problem.
So it's like super dry.
Yeah, it's very dry.
Is that a cabinet?
Yeah, that's also covered.
Whoa.
That came a little later. He made that 7 years.
Going to your room is like it's another world.
Yeah, I never was in a room like this.
It's like another world. It's like going to another.
Well, one thing is for sure, if you see this many shalagram shilas in one place, there's more than 1,200 shalagram.
Okay, you can explain a little bit.
Tell us about your deities. Which deities did come first? And I remember your little Gorni time, Prabhupada Bhakti Sanatana.
It is another world. This is Golok Dham.
Get close.
This is the spiritual world.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
This deity was given to me by one Babaji Maharaj. This is also Govardhan. I worship him as Gopal because Srila Prabhupada appeared in a dream to me one time telling me that I should worship Krishna as Gopal. So I worship as Gopal. I call him Giridhari Gopal Sham. His name is Sham Gopal.
How long for you to take to worship all of this? How long will it take you?
It takes me, including cooking for them, it takes me approximately 4.5 hours.
4.5 hours that you have to worship and do all your deity.
Yes.
Every day, 4.5 hours.
Yes.
Do you know the exact total amount of shilas you have here?
No, exact no, but over 1,200.
So what would you give to them? What kind of offering would you give them?
I offered daily. I massage them all with oil.
You massage
oil.
Each one of them.
Every one of them.
Each one of them with oil.
Oil.
Individually.
You would go each one like this.
Yeah, each one I put oil.
Whoa.
On each one, and then I bathe my Pradhan Shila, the main Shila, along with a few of the Shalagrams, which are my prominent, at least favorite in certain respects, Shilas. And then I take the sprinkling device and I pour water from the conch shell, Tulsi water from the conch shell.
Could you make a sample how it goes?
Into the sprinkling device.
Okay.
I don't want to
Sure,
demonstrate.
right. You could demonstrate on that side. Just
see?
all right. All right.
See
Got that one?
sprinkling.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So the and I sprinkle them so that every shalagram gets at least 3 drops of water, because
Okay.
according to Hari Bhakti Vilas, 3 drops of water constitutes bath for shalagram.
Oh.
So a minimum of 3 drops of water is required. Then after sprinkling, of course, they always get more than 3 drops of water, because I more or less spray them. And then I go and I dry them all off.
Wow.
And then I take chandan, Tulsi chandan, because it's described in the Tulsi Mahatmya, the Padma Purana, that if you offer Tulsi chandan or Tulsi paste, that means the paste from grinding the wood from the Tulsi tree, then you will always remain with Krishna, and Krishna will never leave you. So I'm always afraid Krishna will leave me, because I'm so fallen that
So
he has every reason to leave me.
Is there any way to identify the shalagrams as from any other rock or stone? How would you know these are shalagrams?
See, the thing is that you more or less have to know where they came from, because according to the Padma Purana, every stone on the Kali Gandaki River is shalagram.
That's where you get it from?
On the Kali Gandaki River in Nepal.
Nepal, that's why.
Now it's Nepal. It used to be part of India. It's in the Himalayan.
Right.
The Annapurna mountain range.
This is that where you go to get all the shalagram?
Yeah, well, I didn't get them all.
Yeah, right.
Most of them came to me.
All right.
Have you ever been there to get your own shila?
Yes, I went there one time, and I didn't collect so many, maybe around 30 shilas I brought. And then when I had to leave India to get a new visa, I went to Nepal and went on Shalagram Sankirtan with my begging cloth, and went from, because in many places they sell Shalagram, which is supposed to be completely against scriptural injunctions.
So you went.
So I went with my begging cloth and begged Shalagram from the various shop owners who were selling the Shalagram. And I collected about 85. All these most of these shalagram here.
That's why you collected them.
I collected them. So my first tray filled up from my collection, excursion to Nepal. And then afterwards, so many just came.
Just came.
Year after year, they come to me. I haven't gone to Nepal again since. What can I say? They're the life of the 24-hour kirtan.
So in conclusion, Indra, thank you. We want to thank you so much for giving a wonderful time with us, and for a lot of people out there who want to see this film. And I just want to ask you one thing. We've known you in New York City 20 years ago, doing your Harinam on the bus. You're always into the Harinam. You would decorate the Harinam bus and everything. I would always see you fixing it all up, putting fiberglass on it. You're into your own world there. And then you just disappeared. And you were in Vrindavan. And you never left Vrindavan. It seems like you have a really, what's the attachment in Vrindavan? I don't see any material stuff in your room. You're just completely a happy person, So people out there, they will see that, just please explain your attachment in this particular place called Vrindavan.
Well, when you live in Vrindavan, under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, you gain experiences from the spiritual platform that perhaps a materialist may not be able to perceive. So, due to the fact that I've gained some very profound and serious experiences in the progress of my Krishna consciousness by residing in Vrindavan Dham, and due to the fact that I have faith in the words of my spiritual master, who has instructed about the magnitude of benefit in the matter of residing in Vrindavan, which I personally feel and experience in my own life. And due to the fact that I see that it's my number one duty to the mission of my spiritual master to somehow or other get this soul back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. I've taken the residence in Vrindavan to be the easiest and perhaps the lazy, intelligent way of accomplishing that for the service of my Guru.
Hare Krishna. So that's a wonderful video.
Wonderful.
I'll share in the group also. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Prabhu, where are these deities now?
Here in In Vrindavan temple and Brahmacharya ashram. Because
And the Shaligram Shilas also are over there?
yeah, he had a room in the ashram, so then these are all there in that room.
Okay.
So throughout the year, only one day I think an arrangement is made for everyone to go and take darshan. On other days only, people living in the ashram can take darshan. Okay, we have some questions. All right. Can you please briefly explain the different lokas in relation to the three worlds? Different lokas in the three worlds. I mean, I don't know what kind of description you want. Kevin Prabhu, are you there?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sorry, I was doing the assessment. One of the questions was about Satya Loka. And I noticed there was 14 different lokas or planetary systems. I just want to understand, where is everything situated? Because there's also reference about three worlds, and I didn't understand how the three worlds fitted into the 14 planetary systems. So I didn't understand that.
Okay, so it is a little simple. See, when the three planetary systems or three worlds are mentioned, then it's like putting these 14 into three categories, right? So Earth is the middle one. Whatever is above Earth, that's called upper, and whatever is below Earth, that's called lower. So then it makes three: the upper one, the middle one, and the lower one, right? But then above Earth, there are 6 in number. Below Earth, there are 7 in number. So 6 plus 1 plus 7, that makes it 14. So 14 levels, or you can say 14 layers of planetary systems. The upper ones are clubbed together, the low ones are coupled together. Sometimes when they talk about the three planetary systems or three worlds, then they also talk about Earth, the one above Earth, and the one above that. So Bhur, Bhuvaha, Svargaha, 3. So that way also it is said. Okay, so these are 14. The names of these 14 planetary systems are given in Srimad Bhagavatam. You can easily find them. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Mahatala, Talatala, Rasatala, Patala, then Earth is there, then Bhuvara, then Swarga, then Maharlok, Janalok, Tapalok, Satyalok. So in that way, total 14. Another question, last lesson you spoke a story about Rakshasas. Which story about Rakshasas? About the material world being a place of miseries. Other religions have an inherent evil to blame for this. So explain Rakshasas. Well, it's pretty simple. What are Rakshasas? They're also living entities, jivas, in the body of Rakshasas. So Krishna tells in Bhagavad-gita in chapter 16, he'll talk about them, that those people who are very, very sinful, they are very against the laws of God, they are put into those pieces by Krishna because of their nature. They are too exploitative, so they are put in that species. How it began, it just began like every other species began, out of the desire to exploit. So in some the desire is less, in some the desire is more. Okay, David Prabhu, please, is it right to be so attached to your spiritual master or any high personality? Yes, it's very correct to be attached. One has to be attached. No one can be free from attachment. But then the whole idea of practicing spiritual life is becoming attached to towards those personalities who are pure. Because when you become attached to them, then you also become like them. So there is nothing wrong being attached to those devotees. Are those who are not on the level of Ananya but aspire on that, are they worthy to be treated as described in verse 9.22 to some extent? Yes, to some extent, not to complete extent. Right? So Krishna has already pointed that out in 4.11. Ye yathamam prapadyate tam satheva bhajamyaham. To the extent you surrender, Krishna will provide. So to one who is 100% surrendered, then the maintenance, the protection is also 100%. To those who are not so surrendered, the protection is also accordingly given, right? David Prabhu, is your question answered, or you have another question?
Yes, I still have another question.
Okay, please.
Yes, first I want to thank you so much for the story you told today and the video you show as well, because it gives a lot of motivation and it gives us the energy to do more. And my question is that if you look at the world, you can see that there's a lot of other religion which is more dominated than Krishna consciousness. But when you come to the Krishna consciousness, you can see that it tells everything and gives a full knowledge of God. So why is it like that?
Why is it like that? Pretty simple, Prabhu. It's like that because though Krishna consciousness gives you complete knowledge, it also expects a lot of sacrifice from you. That knowledge is not without price. You have to pay the price. Like for many people, it is so difficult to just give up eating meat. They cannot do that. They want meat 3 times a day, and they cannot give up alcohol. They cannot give up illicit sex. They cannot really be austere, So that's why it's not easy. And more important than that is the pride. The false pride is so strong. Krishna consciousness, the path of Krishna consciousness is only meant for those who are humble in nature, who don't want to really be the lord of everything that they serve, as Prabhupada used to say. They want to become das, servant. They have this attitude to serve. So that's why it's not common. It's not commonly made available to everyone. Not really everyone is really ready for it. They are still, most of the people in this world, they are still full of desires, so many things they want in life, and without that their life is not complete yet. So first of all, they have to put effort, struggle very hard to achieve all that. Then once they become kind of frustrated, or you can say kind of satisfied that I'm done with it, I've tried everything now, but then I don't really find a true satisfaction. They come to their senses, then they will take to Krishna consciousness. So the number of people following pure Krishna consciousness will always be less, because that's like, it's like when you look at a mountain, where do you find the highest weight? At the top? No, at the bottom. As you go up and up and up and up, then the weight is less and less and less and less and less. Similarly, in consciousness also, you'll find maximum number of people with lowest consciousness. And then slowly, lesser and lesser number of people with elevated consciousness. But no worries, those who are at lower level now, sometime they will come to a higher level also if they are qualified. Okay. Yeah, Vijay Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Prabhu, in 9.18, it is given that but all such lokas or planets are being created, creations of Krishna, are simultaneously Krishna and not Krishna. So how should I understand this, Prabhu?
I'm sorry, I just closed the window. Simultaneously Krishna and not Krishna, just like in the previous section when we understood, Krishna is simultaneously connected and not connected. So how is the loka Krishna? Because that loka is a creation of Krishna, so it is Krishna. How is that loka not Krishna? Because Krishna as a person is not that loka, is different. So same thing, as an energy, everything is coming from Krishna, so everything is Krishna. But as person, Krishna is not everything. He's away, he's separate. Those things cannot exist without Krishna. Krishna is present in every single atom that makes the planet. So in that way, that whole planet is Krishna. But then at the same time, Krishna is aloof, Krishna is different. So it's like that, right? Okay, thank you, Mataji. Usha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Just I have a little bit out of context it is, but something to do with devotion, my question. there is this solar eclipse coming on 25th, just the next day of Diwali. So the other temples, the local temples, they all are closed. What sort of practice do we follow in Krishna consciousness, or we don't observe such periods or such eclipses? So I need your kind guidance and advice, Prabhuji, on this.
Very simple. When eclipses are there are two ways of looking at it. One is the Karma Kanda way of looking at it. So most of the temples, they're followers of Karma Kanda, they are Smarta Brahmanas. So what they do is that during eclipse, they close down the temple. They close the altar, they put the deities to sleep. And when the eclipse is over, then they'll take a bath, purify the whole temple, sprinkling Ganga Jal or cow urine, and then they'll begin the worship. So that's Karma Kanda approach. The idea is because eclipse means Rahu has eaten up Surya. So now the rays that are coming to us, that is impure, it's inauspicious. So everything which has been touched by the ray has become inauspicious, have become impure. So then to purify it, you do chant mantras, take bath, sprinkle Ganga Jal and all that. That's Karma Kanda approach. But Vaishnava's approach is this, that how can anything in this world be so impure that it can make Krishna impure? It's not possible. Krishna can never become impure, right? I can become impure, but not Krishna, isn't it? So that's why in Vaishnava temples, they may also close the door of the temple just to make people happy, but then internally the worship of the Lord continues.
Okay.
They don't stop the worship of Krishna because Krishna never gets contaminated by solar eclipse or lunar eclipse or whatever. So they continue the worship, the pujaris, and but they also follow the rules, like during eclipse, not eating, not sleeping, chanting more, or not engaging in material activities, which is the traditional or norm. Those who are born in Vedic culture, India, they know during eclipse you are not supposed to do certain things, right? So then they also follow all of that. They observe, but as far as deities are concerned, the worship continues.
Prabhuji, we can make prasadam, we can cook prasadam for Lord Krishna, or we avoid that? Or
for Krishna, if you want to cook bhoga, yes, you can.
Okay.
But then we avoid eating during that period.
It's a very long period, Prabhuji. I heard it's from 2:30 in the morning till 6 p.m. It's a very long.
There are many people who fast for a whole day, so many times in a year. So why not take?
It said that if you put
those who cannot fast,
then you can consume. Maybe
those who cannot fast, they can eat fruits. They can drink milk. They can do
something like Ekadashi. We need to observe this, Prabhuji.
Yes, you can do. You can do uncooked. You can have uncooked meals. So
thank you, Prabhuji.
The scriptural instructions or injunctions are different for different people. Like even for humans, Prabhupada said below 8 and above 80, no Ekadashi. Below 8 years and above 80 years, no need to observe Ekadashi. That's fine. I mean, so there are like different kinds of instructions for different kinds of different phases in life people are. So that's as per our ability we can follow. Yes, Arati Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, one question I had was a Pitta planets. What exactly in the ancestors they would have moved to? Different destinations, right? What is
the ones who are not yet moved, they are waiting still, or they are because there are two kinds of planets where Yamraj resides. One is a heavenly planet and one is a hellish planet. Yamraj stays in two planets. In one place he stays as Aryama, the ruler of the ancestors. In another place he stays as Yamraj, the punishment giver. So the Yama Loka, which is hellish or which is for punishment, it is way down near Patal. And the Pitta planets, which is the planet of ancestors, that is above Prithvi, above the Bhuloka. And Yamaraj is in both the places, having two different roles to play. So this Pita planet is a sub-heaven. It's not like the real heaven, it's a heaven lower than the heaven. And here the ancestors who have pious credits, punya, they go and they live. It's like a resident they get, they are enjoying there, you can say. They're enjoying their past credits there. And once those past credits will be over, then they will also take birth again. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mahesh Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have two questions. Number one is that in 9.17, Bhagavan has mentioned about only 3 Vedas, Ruk, Sam and Yajur. Why not Atharva Veda? Number one. Number two, in the context of 9.15 and 9.23, Bhagavan has already said that to worship other gods also it is okay, and ultimately it comes to me. So the question is that suppose in a house, in a particular house, we have different deities from the families and all that. Does it mean that we should all live, or we believe that, okay, in this form also, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, we can still get it like, So which way, yeah.
First question is that, you mentioned, what was the first question? I just forgot.
3 Vedas.
3 Vedas. So you see, some people, those who are foolish, they will say, when Krishna spoke Gita, by that time there are only 3 Vedas in human society, and the Atharva Veda came later. These are those people who are modern historians. They think that there is a date to human creation and things evolved. So that's their stupidity. Actually, Krishna mentions 3 Vedas. Why? Because of the nature. Atharva Veda is a miscellaneous Veda. Miscellaneous means when things were divided into 4. Who did that? Vyasadeva did that, right? He divided into 4. So when he divided the Vedas into 4, he put contents into these 3 based on the category. Rik is one category, Sam is another category, Yajur is another category. And then whatever was miscellaneous, which could not fit anywhere, but important, but could not fit anywhere, that was put in Atharva Veda. You're getting it? So when it comes to performing yagyas, Atharva is considered like a supplementary material. Now, like you're doing this course and you attend any course, then there is a main book to study and there is a supplementary study material. Supplementary is something like, okay, you have it, fine. You don't have it, fine. It's optional, it's extra. So in that way, Atharva was made the extra one. It's not unimportant, but it's just the supplementary thing. So that's why in some places, only 3 Vedas are mentioned because they are the most important, or the primary Vedas, and the 4th one is not mentioned. Okay. You got it? You got the point, right? And the second question now, let you know about Krishna being the supreme, and we have demigods at our home because we have been worshipping them, or other family members worshiping. So what do? We continue with the culture, the tradition. You continue worshipping them, but then now you worship them with a better understanding that these demigods are not competitors of Krishna. They are not same as Krishna. They are servants of Krishna. And we acknowledge their position, we respect them, and we offer them prasadam of Krishna as Krishna's mercy. So they will also be happy, they won't mind. So then that is not against Vaishnava dharma. That's totally fine, right? But then it should be also, one thing should be very clear with us, that we should not continue worshipping demigods because we have some kind of fear that if I stop worshipping them, then they'll get angry with me, they'll punish me. No, the approach or the attitude should not be that, I still feel that these people are so powerful, if I stop worshipping them, they'll do something wrong to me. No, it should be just as a matter of obligation, right? And in the heart of heart, one should have that exclusive devotion and surrender to Krishna only. Because what kind of consciousness I am keeping now, that will prepare my future, isn't it? If I have if my consciousness is divided, my faith is divided, then I also won't have an exclusive destination because I have divided faith. I'll not really go to the highest destination, which is Krishna Loka or Vaikuntha, isn't it? Because my consciousness is divided. So that Ananya Bhav should be cultivated inside. There's no problem. That's fine.
No, but Ananya Bhav should be in that particular deity only, no? Otherwise, again, it will be dichotomy, no?
Ananya Bhav in which deity?
Whichever, I mean, suppose the Amba Mata, for example, suppose in one family there is a goddess parampara, you know, there is a family.
Correct.
And
so then there's no problem. One can have Ananya Bhav in Amba Devi, but then that person cannot expect to go to Vaikuntha because of that. Not possible. You know why? Because you go where that personality is. So that personality is in a particular place, then you go there. So that's what Krishna is saying, that you worship that person and you go to that person. And that person is also an aspect of Godhood, not the complete aspect, is an aspect of Godhood, because ultimately everything is coming from Krishna. So in that way, that person is also getting an aspect of Krishna, but not really complete Krishna. So finally, it's a fair game. That's what you like, that's what you want to do, that's where your heart is. So you go there and you be happy there, worshipping that particular deity. That's how it is. Okay, we'll take 2 more questions now. It's getting late. How demons are so powerful? Well, they are so powerful because of their past. And if you ask about material power, that's okay. If that power has come to them because of their tapasya or austerity, they also perform material austerity, so they get those powers. Srinivas Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam Prabhu. Prabhuji, thank you for giving me opportunity. You are telling the angels are humans and ghosts and spirits are dead.
Yeah.
So this dead means they are humans and they're dead.
They're dead. Yes, they're dead in the sense they don't have a human body now.
But previously they were human beings.
Previously they were humans, no? Ghosts, Bhoot, Pisacha.
Then what is the difference between? So they have their loka, separate loka?
They have a different loka. The
Rakshasas have different.
The planetary system below the sub-heavens and above earth, that is given to Pisachas, Rakshasas, Yaksha, and Pisachas. You know, so it's above earth and it's below.
Okay.
It's a different place.
Okay, above the earth and below the heaven, huh?
Below the sub-heavens. Yeah.
It's same like Pita. It's same like Pita planet.
No, Pita is different. Pita planet is different. It's not that, you know, if it is on the same level, it has to be the same planet, because one planetary system means it has many planets. That's called one planetary system. So if you say above the earth and below the sub-heaven, it doesn't mean that there's going to be one planet. It's a planetary system. Just like when you say a galaxy is of so many planets, right? So there are different planets. Even on the earthly planetary system, when we study Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 5, we come to know there's not just one planet called Earth. There are many planets, you know, of which one is the planet Earth. We don't really understand much the cosmological geography. What we know is only from our world maps that we study in school. That's so different. So even on actually, if you look at Bhumandala, it has so many different sections which are not accessible to us. There's a place which is called 𝗵𝗵𝗃 where Hanumanji lives. Hanumanji lives with other Vanaras. That's Earth. That's not heaven. That is Earth. But that is a portion of Earth which is not accessible to us. You know, so like that, there are many different things you can study in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 5. Okay, last question, Usha Mataji.
Oh, thank you, Prabhuji, for giving me the second chance. Prabhuji, I have a little confusion while worshipping. I have Ganesha, I have Lord Shiva. So when I'm offering prasadam to Lord Krishna, after offering him, should I bring it back and again put it for the deities, or I just do it once? I'm a little confused in this, Prabhuji. And if I slowly remove them, will it be all right? Little bit.
Yeah, there's no problem. If you worship Krishna, then it's all right. So if you want to,
but I've heard something about Mahaprasadam. So you bring the prasadam of Lord Krishna, then again you offer to the deities, or you can just offer them together. Or you just like I
You see,
feel
Madhuri, it depends. I understood your question. You see, it depends on how elaborate you can do. Deity worship is a subject which all depends on how much elaborately you can do it. There's no end to it. There's no limit to it. So if you have that much time and energy and you can put so much of efforts, then you do it. That's okay. You offer to Krishna, then you remove from there, then offer it to Shiva, then you offer it to Ganesha, and then finally you serve it to devotees or serve it to your family members. But if you don't have so much time, then it's fine. You just offer it to Krishna and it's all done, right? So there's nothing like that. Do what you can. The most important thing is that instead of getting into the details of the ritual, the main thing is that when you're preparing the food, how conscious you are about Krishna, what kind of food you're preparing, how you offer it to Krishna. That's most important. And if Krishna is satisfied, everyone gets their share, no problem. Even when you do deity worship in a temple, then you have to be very pakka, because the standards have to be really, really high, right? And as per the next part of the question, yes, if there's no compulsion to continue worshiping those deities of demigods, you can definitely take them to a temple and put there, or you can put them in a river and say a prayer to them, thanking them for the opportunity to worship them. And then you can also say, now I want to exclusively devote my time and energy to serve Krishna. No problem. That's totally fine. Okay.
Wonderful.
So we'll stop here. Thank you so much. We went over time, half an hour. We'll see you tomorrow. But today I'll send one document in the WhatsApp group. I request all of you to read that and come for the class tomorrow. So it's regarding one shloka we'll be discussing in detail. So I just wanted to give you a lot of content for you to go through, and then we'll have some discussion. All right. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Thank you so much.